Hey, welcome everybody to the Tech-Mex podcast. I'm your host, Eric Ramirez, and I've got my awesome co-host here, Mando Gomez.
The one and only man, the Mando Gomez.
Mando Gomez. Well, this is episode 17, number 17. We've got a packed episode today, just covering some of the latest news that we had this week, covering the eclipse, UFO.
Yeah. UFOs, man.
UFOs, and a little bit of going on with the war that erupted kind of last weekend. So let's get into it. Let's go. Dale.
All right. So, eclipse, man. I remember when I was a child, like maybe, in the 80s, there was a nice one that the whole thing was getting dark, like literally. This was in Mexico City. I was expecting something this time similar to that. And by the way, we drove to San Antonio to see it closer because we mentioned this before. We are in Houston. San Antonio is a couple hours away. So, but yeah, and the interesting part for this eclipse was they called it the Ring of Fire because it will not cover it the whole sun. Did you were able to see it here, Eric?
Yeah. We, of course, we were a little bit behind the game here, but we were able to see it here. But I noticed that, the NASA stream, because they live streamed it actually from Kerrville, Texas, which is, I think, right outside of San Antonio. It's kind of one of those wealthy areas. By the way, I think that's where Johnny Football is from. I don't know if you know who Johnny Football is, but there was a big Netflix documentary on him, and he's from A&M college football. He was a big deal. He was able to beat Alabama, and he was like the youngest player that won the Heisman Trophy. But anyways, from Kerrville, Texas. But that's what NASA was broadcasting from. It did look pretty cool. The Ring of Fire looks awesome. I think they call it the Annular Eclipse. I think that's what this one is called versus a total eclipse.
For sure. And I noticed your shirt. My shirt is from Buc-ee's. If you're on YouTube, I love that place. So going to San Antonio, you'll hit a couple of these Buc-ee's gas stations. They built an awesome brand. It's like a beaver with a hat, and everybody loves like freaking Buc-ee's. And it became massive, man. Like they're building I don't know if it's the largest gas station. It's just massive, and they have a lot of merch because the logo is funny, right? It's like and by the way, I got these. We're closer to Halloween, so we're putting decorations, and they have a Buc-ee's like blow up type of a thing, right? With Halloween for a Halloween decoration. Obviously, I got it. So there is one thing called the Buc-ee's Nuggets, which is like a maybe puffy type of a snack, right? And it's crunchy because it's caramelized. It's good. It's like it tastes like almost like a popcorn. It's just good. The whole thing is good. You have beef jerky. You have like all kinds of foods that we can have here in the South. But they're pretty good. But yeah, that's what we were going after. Basically trying to get the eclipse going to San Antonio.
Yeah, the Buc-ee's is maybe a really good story for us to cover maybe in a future episode, because I think it's got a pretty cool background in terms of like, how that business started and how it's growing and how it's expanding and things like that. And actually, I think there was a recent story. Something weird happened with one of the kids, if I believe, of Buc-ee's, but maybe that's something that we can cover in another episode, because Buc-ee's itself has like this cult following, and it's one of those destination gas station places, but they are massive, and it's like the big kids dream in there. They've got everything, and it's not just they've got like food, they've got snacks, they've got apparel, they've got like barbecue pits, and the places are huge. So that'd be kind of a fun thing to cover.
And you see like the joining all cultures. Doesn't matter if you're Hispanic. There were some bikers there, man, and we all were, Buc-ee. So it's like,
so cool.
And my daughters were there, and it's like, oh, those bikers are cool, right? Like, it's like Yeah, it's like, right? You're in Buckets. We all are cool. What are you talking about? so, yeah, that was kind of one of the things, the stops, right, that we did to go into to the clips. And the reason why we wanted to go to San Antonio is because the closer that you get to the center, it will be more clear, right? Here in Houston, I believe it's supposed to be about 80% that you will be able to see it. But yeah, over there it was like, I guess, a great ring, a perfect ring. So, but I see that your share says safety third. So tell me about it.
Well, first of all, if you notice, there's a guy waving a drink in the air as he's riding a bear. So that's instead of safety first, is safety third. I thought it was a hilarious shirt. We picked it up in Tahoe, I think last year or the year before when we went. Because, right, I don't know, bears, when you're out there running around in the woods, you got to be careful with them. But I thought it was hilarious because, right, with these eclipses, what's the first thing they tell you? It's like, don't look at it directly.
Don't look at the sky. Yeah.
don't look up. And it cracks me up every year. The memes come out whenever there's an eclipse with, you see the Trump. He's looking directly. It's like, come on, man! You're supposed as a kid. That's like the number one thing.
I think that you pull it off, man. Did you have your glasses?
Okay, so of course, morning up, we're scrambling to find some glasses because we're like, oh crap. We thought we could just pick some up at Lowe's. We went to a few places, they were all sold out. We went to the local libraries, they were all gone. We're like, oh man, we should have picked them up yesterday, but we didn't have a chance to. But in the end, we ended up going to downtown, the Public Houston Library downtown, the big one. I'm like, for sure they'll have it. And I just drove out there. And, it's like a 10, 15-minute drive. But
that's the last place that I will go, man, and for a library. How do you knew that it will be the library who has glasses?
I heard it on the radio, like, check with your library, blah, blah, blah. Or I saw it on a Reddit, actually, because I was looking at a Reddit to see who still has them, right?
Who has my glasses?
Who has these glasses? And it was kind of funny. We got to downtown and it was all like corded off. Like, we couldn't get to the library. There was an art festival going on at the time, so it was all blocked off. So I sent my wife, like, run down the street because it was, by that time it was already going to start, like, the eclipse was already starting. So she runs down there. I drop her off. We couldn't find each other afterwards. It was kind of crazy. It was an adventure on its own. But eventually, I sent her my coordinates, and she came to me just because I couldn't get back to her towards the library. And we ended up getting back somewhere so that we could check it out. And yes, my eyes are still intact. I'm not blind. I'm good. I'm able to see. And yeah, but it's so funny. Actually, the glasses that we got, they're from NASA. I guess NASA gave these packages to the libraries, but it's kind of funny. If you open up this stuff and it's got this folder has like information from like 10 years ago. It's like, well, what else can we give them? I don't know. Give them some of the old shit we couldn't get rid of before. Just stick it in there. That matters. So I got an old poster from like 10 years ago when the world was supposedly ending.
They gave you like a 10 years calendar from like 2010.
Yeah, exactly. I got some rulers that says 2012, blah, blah, blah. It's going on. So it is pretty funny. But no, we only got one pair though. They almost didn't give it to her. They're like, the library was like, well, did you register online? My wife was like, hey, you did not communicate that. She was about to go Karen on him, I think. But they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. So they gave her one and it worked out. And I didn't have to burn my eyes out.
You didn't have to pull the Trump on it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Well, some people do the whole pinhole thing, right? You put the pinhole in the thing and then it'll shine through. But we didn't have to do that.
I still like my eyes. So that makes me think. By the way, regarding the eclipse, you didn't miss much. It's like it's like literally just this circle. I really like when it gets darkened, right? It's like, man, this is like, because you can see it even without the glasses, right? Like, oh wow, everything is just darkened, and like you're in the middle of the day and suddenly it just becomes like dark, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
So
cool.
but yeah, in this case, it makes me think of no wonder why the old and ancient cultures that they didn't have glasses, they look at the sky and they became blind, right? It's like, oh, don't look at the sky, it's evil, right?
They will blind, the gods will blind you,
The
right?
gods will blind you. It's like yeah, no, I mean, no wonder why all of the ancient cultures they like start looking to the sky, right? Because there's something evil there, or there's something there that is
Mhm.
going on, right? So, I think that some of these events between these and maybe some of the meteorites and things like that is like what happened, right? Why things are like coming from the sky. So I think that you go from Egypt to Asia or Japan or even like in Latin America, like the Aztecs and Mayans, all of them they have like a lot of astrological um, part of their cultures to make sure that they have it there. So yeah, it made me think about all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting. Like, we take for granted a lot of the knowledge that we know now, and of course, there's so much that we don't know. But the things that we know, we are like, yeah, okay, like you just said, yeah, it's just it's an eclipse, no big deal, right? We see them all the time,
Yep.
but for them, they back then they really had very little understanding, or you assume this, that they had very little understanding about what was going on, and they're being blinded, and now they see shadows or whatever from this going on. And by the way, there is another total eclipse, Mando,
In
on April
April.
8th. April 8th next year, if you do want to get the full total eclipse
And that one will be able
feeling.
to see in Houston, I believe, right? I think
Uh,
that in Houston will happen too.
it should be similar to what it was, but if I saw, I think the map that NASA put up, it's also going through that San Antonio Kerrville area again. If you want to get like the nicest view, I think so. Maybe that's worth a trip next year. But
So to finish the story on the trip to San Antonio, we did like what we should put there. Like, should we go to the River Walk? Should we go to the Alamo? The Alamo. So, and I was
remember the Alamo, yeah.
remember the Alamo, man. Yeah, we didn't know, so we were just literally starting to drive, and I told my buddy because I took my daughters, my two daughters, and my friend, his name is George. You know George, and he's like, hey, where we should go? Then we literally put the caverns. There are some caverns outside of San
The
Antonio,
natural
and
bridge caverns, the ones where you
that's right.
walk down inside, and
Yep,
that's
yep.
that's a cool place. I love that place. It's fun.
So we
Slippery
watched
though.
it very slippery in some areas, yes. So we literally were in the parking and we just barely made it, like 2 minutes to the eclipse. We got off the car because we start seeing people with their glasses. Oh shit, did it start it? So then we pull it out on the parking and then we just literally watch the whole eclipse there. And then we finish and it was May.
You're like, that's it? Are we
That's
done?
it. I spent 3 hours. My bucket shirt was more awesome. so, so then we're like, well, we're here. As might as well just go into the caverns. And my daughters, I took my daughters when they were like super little. Right now they are like angry teenagers. So it's like, do you want to go to caverns? Well, you're gonna go to the caverns. And then yeah, but that basically that's what happened.
Well, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I remember going to Natural Bridge Caverns, and I think, don't they have some kind of wildlife drive-through park also around there? I don't remember, but
They do, and they do have a zoo as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
they have a zoo. But yeah, I think that that was interesting. And by the way, the funny part is that yeah, it's one of the sites that you have to do in San Antonio. But they created this. It's like zip line structure in a almost like a tower, and the way there
Mhm.
in one of the sites you have kind of some stairs. Then you can go around each of them, and it's fun. And they strap you, and you are hooked You cannot unhook until you go down again, but again, you can go down whenever you want. And around the whole thing, it has like areas of zip lining, and there's some trees around it. It was awesome. I'm pretty old and heavy, right? So it's like I never like try to put myself there, but yeah, they have a maximum weight, so I'm not sure if some folks might be able to do it. I think that is 250 or 300. That's kind of the limit, which is still, it's not that bad. But yeah,
So
it
did you
was
make it
very fun.
across?
I made it to the top, and I was going across. There is even a rope. Like you can actually have to cross a rope and just like balance yourself out of the whole thing. So it is awesome.
It's a ropes course. I did one of those ropes courses at A&M when I was doing my undergrad over there. Actually, that's kind of a funny thing. So you had to take these kinesiology classes, right? Like gym class, basically, to get your credits to graduate. So I did two
Dude,
interesting
you always
things.
bring
these
words like for Sunday. Like, what was it again? The name of the name
which
like,
one?
The gym class. What genestology?
Kinesiology. That's how they call it over here. That's kinesiology. Yeah.
All right.
But anyways,
like,
this rope.
Just call it gym, but sure.
That's what it's called on your degree plan.
Yeah,
anyways,
right.
Whatever.
Again, Ramirez flexing again his knowledge in different words and etymologies.
In my gym knowledge, I'm not a gym bro, but I'm trying to get there. But no, we also had this ropes course. It was pretty cool. That's when I figured out for sure. Yeah, I'm scared of heights. I'll get up and now I'll freeze. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. You're flexing. It's like it. I'll freeze up too high, but I've been working on it. You know what's really helped?
Mm-hmm.
Just real quick, when I built the house, I did those floating stairs kind of thing. And you remember that kind of when you came over, so you could see down there. And we've got 3 stories, and yeah, you'll get over your scared of heights with that, because every time you go up, like our gym's up at the on our top floor. And so whenever we go to the gym, it's like, oh man, you're going up real high, and you look down and it's a long way down. But you get used to it a little bit like that. But and also in my kinesiology, I did another one where we did skiing on Aggie Mountain. I don't know if I shared this one before, but it's basically a big hill, because there's no mountains in Texas, at least in that part of Texas. It's a big hill. They put AstroTurf. They spray it down with soap and water. You put your skis on and you go down it. That is fun. I did see someone break their leg though, so still got to be careful. Yeah, fun stuff. But yeah, that's that's good stuff there.
I think that once that you start doing it, because to be honest, you're not used to, right? Like I'm not used to seeing heights, because it's like almost 4 floors, something like that. Like it's pretty high, right? And you don't see anything. Literally, there is only a rope. And you don't start with that one. You start, there is actually, they put like, maybe they start making it more complex. And you put first, they put like some blocks for you to be able to walk, and they're stable. So those are cool. You still don't see anything, right? Like you have the harness in the middle, and it's carrying you. But then you can walk, and you can start seeing it. But yeah, it was fun. I really like it. It's only 45 minutes to allow you to be there. But yeah, my friend also got vertigo. And he is like, hey, you know what? I'm done. It's like, well, wait for us, because and my kids, they just love it, man. They just literally love it. And we were there the whole 45 minutes. So yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like you had more fun doing the ropes course and the Buc-ee's strip than the actual solar eclipse. But you know what? I feel like these things, at least that's how I see it. It's just an excuse to go hang out, have fun, hang out with your friends and with your family. That's really what it's more about, and it's more of an excuse to kind of
Celebrate
spend some time with others,
eclipse
celebrate.
celebration.
Yeah. I really wanted to try going to a party. They had parties throughout Houston, of these eclipse watching parties, but we didn't make it out. But we still got to watch them, so it was cool.
Cool. Maybe a tinfoil party. Talking about tinfoil, man. Let's talk about UFOs. So you were planning to go.
Like, I know, right? I need to do that. UFO watching parties. But back in the day, like you said, they would freak out about, you look up, you go blind. I mean, I wonder, that's when they started seeing these the UFOs flying around.
Yeah, well, talking about UFOs, man, I like Ancient Aliens. It's like I can binge that thing, man. And I like the guy that is like it's obvious that it was the aliens with the hair, right? So, and there's a bunch of memes with that guy there. So I think that for those, you see a lot of UFOs now. They are calling UAPs, right? The new term. I still gonna call them UFOs. I like it more UFOs.
You're a traditionalist, I see. Yeah,
I guess, but I think that you start seeing them on places where there is a lot of radioactive movement, right? So nuclear plants, things like that, right? And I think that I was watching the documentary Encounters. It was a bit slow, but the reason why it hooked me is because I haven't seen some information on like in the Japanese culture, right? And they have some information, like some records of in 2000. No, I'm sorry, 1800s, and this is like pre-airplanes, pre-anything. So
yeah,
it's very interesting that they're talking about UFOs, and it's recorded like on paper with the description of a UFO, and before anything else, right? So that was interesting.
Yeah, I remember. I also watched I think it was called Encounters on Netflix, right? The docuseries, and in that particular episode, yeah, that pod or whatever it was that they had that was documented. I think it was like in Japanese, I guess folklore or something like that. But they actually had written stuff where they said that they found a woman inside of that pod or something like that, and that became part of the story. I don't know if it was an abduction or what, but very, very interesting. And yeah, it took me a while to get through the whole docuseries. It wasn't like super, super jam-packed, exciting type of those things. It really was trying to show kind of the history of some of these UFOs, what has, things that really couldn't be explained. And on that episode, did you notice there was the lady that they were talking about, like light language? That cracked me up a little bit, actually.
Sure, but what part?
I didn't know what to expect. Well, no, just because like the way she just started talking really fast, like it didn't make any sense. I'm like, what like, what did she say?
There was another lady in Mexico, and she became part of the meme culture over there. Talking, which is very weird because now you have these different people popping up in different countries, right? Talking about this language with the aliens, right? And she calls it the light beings or something like that. The beings made of light. So, which is very interesting. Like, and again, she's just communicating through this kind of language. But yeah, it sounds funny. Yeah, when I hear her, yeah, it was a bit funny.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure. I didn't. I wasn't expecting that, first of all. But I think it's some type of like channeling or something like that. She said she could channel somebody.
Yeah.
Or an alien, or I'm not sure what the case was. Something like that.
That was out of the blue, though. It's like we were talking about aliens. I was about to pull my tinfoil, right? Yeah. And suddenly, like, oh shit, she went religious here. I didn't see that coming. So she went all Scientology on me. So it's like, oh, that was weird. Yeah, that was weird. But sure, let's keep watching because it's just different points of view, right, on this information. But yeah, it was entertaining.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's some interesting stuff there. If you did want to pick something up on that docuseries again, I think it was called Encounters on Netflix. But I did see something else that was really interesting. It was a little grossed me out on, I don't know, online somewhere. I forget where, but they were doing a dissection of these Nazca Perus, right? We mentioned them.
Oh,
We mentioned it last time, like they were
yes.
taking samples and stuff like that. So they
Hmm.
were showing the video of this uh, um, a scientist. I don't know
Sure.
what she actually was. Right? She was trying to dissect pieces or chunks off of
Hmm.
this Peru. And I kid you not, it was so gross. It looked like sweet potato, like coming. I was like, aliens are made out of sweet potatoes. That looks pretty gross. I don't know about that. It was dirty, but they got their they got their samples that they
What
needed.
was the outcome? Like it was like
Uh,
conclusive or what?
Not yet. This was just showing the process of because there's just
Getting
like this
the sweet
the
potato from the aliens.
getting the sweet potato from the aliens. They were obviously eating. I mean, they are Peruvian, so I think Peruvians they're very big on their potatoes, so maybe that's why.
Yucca.
But no, they got the yucca over there. No, but I think they were trying to show like their chain. I forget what it's called, but it's basically
Carbon 14. The carbon 14 to be able to see how old they are, or
well, whenever you collect samples, you've got to show that you did it a certain way and they weren't tampered with. So there's this chain of evidence so that you can determine like yes, it was collected in the right way. So later on, you can't say when there's some type of conclusion that they did it the wrong way. So I think they were just documenting some of that process. And but yeah, so I don't think there's results in, or at least not all the results in yet, but they just showed that. It was pretty interesting.
Interesting. We'll see. We'll see what it comes out of that thing. Some of the we mentioned last episode, right? Some of them they look funny. They look interesting. But yeah, I think that overall we'll keep watching these things. I think that they are coming up a little bit more open. But I'm actually fascinated that the people whatever. So we have become so desensitized that when truly happens, it's like it was expected.
She's like,
I have a
yeah,
friend
I
that
mean,
is reptilian, right?
of course.
Well,
Yeah. Like
so
you knew.
yeah, exactly. So I think that we it's just that we just became so desensitized of these things that whatever, right? Just moving on to my next item.
Yeah, you just never know because there's so many people that make wild claims and in the end it ends up being debunked, right? So it's like you really don't know when to get excited or when not to get excited, right? It's just like, okay, whatever. Like I've heard it all before, call me when it's really been proven, but some of these things are going to be really difficult to prove also. So we're just going to keep on going. It's what it reminds me of is that movie that one was kind of like there was a lot of it was really polarizing. Lots of people really got upset at this movie. I think it was called Don't Look Up, right? It was the one that was basically poking fun at a lot of people that there's like this asteroid coming to Earth to destroy Earth, but then there was this whole culture that was kind of like denying that this asteroid really existed. And then there was like, I can't believe like all these scientists are saying, yes, we're about to blow up, but people just went on their day saying, nah, it's not real, fake news, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it could be some of that too, right?
I think so. And I think that that's the reason why we always mention here to be able to do your own research, to try to don't believe us even to ourselves. We are two dudes here, right? So because it is hard. It is literally hard to figure out what it is true, what is not, right? And what is incomplete information. So I do agree. It's like try to do your research, go to Reddit, go to right, like whatever, ask ChatGPT, right? But even those, they are biased, right? They are like highly biased. So
yeah, you've got to consider the quality of the evidence that you've got, right? There's different levels of quality, and so that's what they say. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence at the same time. So
Ramirez for Nobel Prize.
Vote here at techmexpodcast.com.
Nobel Prize, and we'll see you over there for the next ones, 2024.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to the next topic, though. This a little bit more dense, right? Which is the war, but we needed to discuss it. Are you familiar with what is going on? I mean, do you have any context on obviously Israel versus Palestinian, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I have the surface level stuff. The kind of the background that most people know is that this has been going on for a while now, right? There's this historic push and pull between these two groups over, Israel, Palestine, in that Gaza Strip area, and it does come up every once in a while. But what are the details around that? Can you share?
Well, this is my opinion, right? But this is just my own understanding. I'm not an expert on this, right? So it's just my own observation. I think that it's not about this piece of land, right? Right now they're mentioning, right? Like, well, it's because there is conflict and all of that. But I think that this thing is, in my opinion, it just goes back like way, way behind. Like even it's in the Bible, right? Like you have these kind of different cultures spawning from Abraham, right? Like you have basically some of the things that Abraham had to follow to be able to have a child with his mate, who it was Ishmael, which is basically the descendants of all of the Islamic, and then you have the descendant of the wife of the other wife, which it was basically Isaac, right? Which is the Jews. So you have this conflict going on, like almost relatives, and for me, it's almost like, what the heck? You guys almost were the same family, right? Based on the scriptures, and as well, almost the same God, right? So what is the conflict, right? What is the fight? And now years pass, and then you have the tension because when Jesus came, so now you have three religions, right? You have the basically Christians, Jews, and the Islamic, and that's kind of the conflict, right? That in that area, that you have all of these happening on that area. And again, right now it's just between these two places, but it has been always conflict in the middle. So the other portion, that's kind of the ancient, and there's always has been conflict, right? But now, later on this century, it was basically that United States got pulled into this, I guess, call it mess, right? Because they have their own conflicts, they and all of that. But the reason why US got into this is because they start providing the land for Israel in about 1948 or something like that, where they provided that land to the Jews, which is basically when they founded Israel. And that's where kind of the new type of conflict emerged. At least, again, that's from my point of view.
Yeah, pretty interesting. There's obviously lots of history around this, and going back to even the scriptures, right, where a lot of this started. And I know folks grow up with their belief systems on all sides, and it's very difficult to argue past those belief systems. And I think then also when there's kind of life and death associated with it, that can really be difficult, because you could know that you were affected, someone in your family was killed, and then you don't let go of those things. So I don't know where this is heading. A lot of people are saying it can escalate very quickly into a world war, but let's hope that that doesn't necessarily happen. Maybe the UFOs can help here de-escalate. Maybe that's why there's a lot more sightings going on.
Maybe it's like or providing, like to one side of the thing, right? So yeah, I think that going back to the beliefs, you hit the nail. I'm thinking about different cultures, how you see a spectrum between some that they are very radical, right? Like, hey, you must follow this, and this is the only way, right? To the most open or free ones, like maybe kind of like almost like Indians or even some of the Buddhists, right? That is more on that spectrum, right? So that you can even have, like in Indian culture, Indian religion, you can actually worship so many gods, right? So, and again, it's kind of in the pendulum versus more of the more Abrahamic, and that's the reason why they call them Abrahamic gods, because even the ones that they just are more, there's only one God. So, my point here is, uh, sometimes we have to be a little bit more tolerant, right, on different things, because it's how they were raised, and how they were. That's their identity, right? Like it's very hard to be able to. You have to be well read, well traveled, and even with that, you still will prefer, by your own preference, to follow your own beliefs. But sometimes people, they might not, right? So that's the reason why you see some people from the West going to maybe other places and start becoming whatever they wanted to become. But yeah, I think that is always conflict like this. It is fuzzy. It's not very clear, right? Like why they're doing it, right? And even right now, in these latest years on the advance of the civilization as humankind, uh, it's very impacting to me, right? That we're still fighting for these type of things, but maybe always it will happen like this.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, whenever there's humans involved, there's going to be emotions and passion involved. It'll be very difficult to kind of move on from those things, and these are generational type of conflicts. I don't think we can expect that it can be solved overnight. I think that maybe also feeds into kind of, there was the Hamas initial attack, but then this very strong retaliation. I mean, it's like that retaliation, you could tell there was a lot of pent up energy there that was built up over time. That's what made it so strong and swift and hard,
But you know what? It's just the they are kids, they're civilians, right? And that's what is a very tough pill to swallow for me. It's like, come on, man.
Yep.
it's like you say that you're religious. Show me, right? I don't think that your God tells you, let's go and kill babies, right? It's like, come on, man, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is tough. We're human beings, and yes, in war is I understand it, right? But it's tough, and that's the images that they're coming up. They're tough. Both sides, by the way. But by the way, the ones that they know about Hamas, it's basically Islamic resistance. I think that's what it stands for, right? It's like Islamic resistance. Um, but yeah, again, let's keep watching it. Hopefully, it doesn't escalate. But we'll keep watching it closely.
Yep. Super serious topics here, but moving on. I think there were some news reports about Latinos this week. Actually, that was really interesting. It really caught my eye. We heard that from the Coffin Foundation that Latinos are starting businesses at a faster rate than any other group in the United States. That's really exciting, because those are the types of things that we've been talking about here on the podcast, right? It's really Latinos. What are they doing? I mean, a lot of Latinos, when they come to this country, when they immigrate here, they tend to start businesses because, things aren't set up in a way, like the banking system and things like that are not set up in a way that they can easily get funding. So they end up doing things on their own, right?
Well, if you think about it, I want to say the easiest, because it's truly the easiest, is to do a service when you are doing a business, right? Because you start progressing in different business models. Usually starts with a service of any kind, right? Like you can do a cleaning service, right? If you know how to to clean a house and all of that, sure, you can start that. Or you can start to doing a lawn service, right? All kinds of services, they fall into, and almost you can do it yourself. Like you can be a solopreneur, right? Right now it's funny that everybody's like, oh, be a solopreneur. Well, Mofo, my culture has been a solopreneur like forever, right? So because that's just, you come sometimes, some of our peeps, they come, and some illegal, some not. I'm not going. I'm conscious of that. And sometimes they have to survive, right? Like, and the way for them to survive is to do certain jobs. But I think that what is happening, this is again my point of view, is that millennials or the second generations, they are becoming more equipped with technology. They are understanding some of these tools, and we are in some areas we are a lot. We are like 20-30%. So guess what? Just by the numbers, you start having more understanding. I was talking to my plumber, and dude, the guy had like a lot of shit. Like he had his system in place, or automation, like the payment system. It was a breeze, right? It's like this guy's legit, man.
He figured it out. Yeah.
He figured it out, and he's like a second generation, right? He knows Spanish, he knows English, right, very well, and tech savvy. So that's the key: English, Spanish, and tech savvy. Hence, Tech-Mex, right?
That's where we're at, folks. Tech-Mex podcast. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, exactly. So I think that maybe that's one of the things why we are doing this pod. From our perspective, we feel that is growing, right? That trifecta where you have some culture in Latino, you're understanding tech for what you're doing, and you're using it in your advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And so we bring this up to really encourage you. You know that there's others that are doing it. Use your network, work with others, trying to pull both of yourselves up by the bootstraps. And just a couple numbers here. So, and keep in mind, this is kind of pre-COVID numbers, but, at that time where businesses were growing at the rate of 1.2%, like under 2%, of those, like 34% were Latino-owned businesses. So it's a good chunk of those businesses were Latino-owned. And from also recently by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, they said that Latino businesses are going to be a major driver of economic growth here in the United States. So Latino-owned businesses generate $1.9 trillion in economic activity every year and employ up to 11 million people. So this is really important. This area of the economy in the U.S., this Latino group is really growing, and it's showing. And like Mando said, it does have a lot to do with Latinos being extremely resourceful. Typically, Latinos don't have the same opportunities that other cultural groups may have here in the United States. So they're able to do more with less, which really speaks to their resourcefulness and really being able to learn and try things out to make things work.
Yeah. I think that sometimes we point out things that are kind of bad from our culture, but there are some great things about our culture, right? So, and that's one of them. It's like, hey, we are MacGyvers, man. And maybe we are too old for those that didn't watch the show. There was this show back on the days that this guy with a clip and paper would make a bomb.
Just get me some duct tape. What else do you need?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that we need to be able to celebrate and honor some of the things are the traits that we have them, right? So and I think that's one, right? So I think that as you keep using technology as your new duct tape, you'll become very powerful.
For sure. There's a lot of opportunity coming up with AI, all of these web businesses, things like that. I mean, we're going to see a big change over the next few years. And here at Tech-Mex podcast, that's what we're hoping to cover. So we're here ready to help not just Latinos, but everybody to learn about these new technologies and business opportunities that are going to come up. Do you have any closing thoughts here, Mando?
Yeah. So one of them is like I'm teaching my daughters, right, to start thinking in business. They are very young, but I think that it's always fundamental that sometimes when you have a business, a home business, let's say that you have a convenience store, the parents are like, hey, could you help me to do this? And I think that sometimes it's important that they learn, right? And right now, like this pod that we are doing, I'm coaching them how to edit my pod, right? So in that way, they can learn a skill. They can learn how to do media, because this is also what is happening behind the scenes, right? We are building a media empire. so so I think that and you're seeing it happening with our under 1,000 subs.
Under 100 subs.
so yeah, you're seeing it happening, right? And I think that that's what I wanted you guys to see, that always you start in zero, right, in your first step, and then start compounding. And it takes time. It is silly to think that I'm just planting a seed and I see this humongous tree that is just giving me fruits by the next day. No, I know better, right? It takes time, right? This pot is great, and we know that that over time we're gonna get more polish. We're
There's
gonna get
no
more
bias
art.
there, by the way.
If you believe it, Ramirez, it will come. Manifestation, bro.
That's right. There you go. It's on my pin board.
That's right. That's right. So I think that that's the closing thought here. To be able to do what you can, right? To just keep learning, and it will compound.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I think, right, leverage the resources that you have. Us as Latinos, I think we're known for that. We can make something out of nothing. So if you like the content that we're bringing to you here, just remember to like, subscribe, comment on our channel, share it with your friends, help us grow. That's the only way that we can continue to do this for you. Click on our links. We've got plenty of referrals out there. So I think we're on a great ride, and we're on the right path here. But let's keep going and keep doing this sin miedo.
Sin miedo. Dale.
Dale.